Hello everyone, my name is Ishan and welcome to the Race Monkey. Today we've got one of the most quirkiest car to ever hit the Indian market. This is the Kia Syros. It's not the Kia Syros, not the Kia Cyrus, as Cyrus Dabar was sort of correcting everyone. This is the Syros, named after a beautiful Greek island, but beauty is a subjective matter. What we're here to talk about is how this particular product from Kia, which is slotted in between Sonet and Seltos as a family car, projected at a demographic which is largely male in between the age of 35 and 45, with families, kids and perhaps old parents, is going to make sense for the Indian market with that sort of a design, which is quite polarizing. But if you start living with it, you sort of like it, and especially in certain colors. Now what we've got over here is the dark blue shade, which sort of changes its shade to purple and black depending on the sunlight. Right now it's right up above us, the sun, and it looks like dark blue, but during sunrise, during sunset, when the tinge of the light is a little on the yellowish side, it looks very purplish. So there's a mix and match of all of that. But as a car, this is pretty brilliant. I've driven this car for about 180 kilometers till now since morning, and there's a lot to speak to you about. So without further ado, let's get around it. Let me show you what all is there as a package in the Syros. How does it drive, and why does this car make a significant difference to the Indian consumers? Because it's actually pretty loaded as well. Let's go.
For latest news, reviews and stories around some beautiful cars that we drive, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the bell icon and follow us on our Instagram handle. Let's get cracking with the video.
Here in the front of the Syros, things look very simple and very elegant, to be very honest. Now we've got this black divider over here, which is pretty pronounced visually in lighter shades, but in the shade it looks pretty cohesive. This is the bonnet, that's the bumper, this is the divider in between with that new Kia badge. You also have your 360-degree camera in the front over here, your ADAS radars over here. It looks very simple. Kia calls it the digital tiger face. I sort of don't understand that analogy over here. Now on the side you've got these headlamps which are placed at the corner of the car. A lot of people said that this is the spot where you get the most amount of scratches on a bumper. Kia has resolved it with a slightly pronounced side cladding and the front cladding as well. It's going to be quite difficult to scratch those headlights. 215, 55 or 17 alloy wheels. There's a difference in design of the alloy wheels in the petrol powered cars and the diesel powered cars. The diesel powered cars get 8 spokes, you get 6 spokes over here, fitted to Goodyear tires, which are good enough in terms of their grip situation when you see it. Now here on the side, it sort of is reminiscent of the Skoda Yeti. You might disagree with me, but that's what it is. This hexagonal cut over here, which is a design element which goes on around in a lot of spaces in the car. It looks very quirky, and you have these pull-out door handles, which is becoming an industry norm somehow. But you do have to push it like this and then pull out like that. You have to have large hands to do that. Now onto the side, this is a very boxy car. There is hardly any aerodynamics, but it just works pretty well. Small sized outside rear view mirrors, effective in terms of the visual, but somehow with the size of the car, they work really well. Over here you see there is this massive decline in the curve. There is just no curve. It's just a flat rear end with these what they call it, the Constellation type rear stop lamps, and you've got your indicators and other reflectors over here at this side. It's a very quirky design which would work out in a lot of shades. In this color, it sort of becomes very cohesive with the lines and the muscles and the bulges. I like how they have made this car look very quirky and at the same time be very cohesive in terms of how it has been packaged. Now you got the reversing lamp over here, which is a very nice placement rather than having it on the sides. That's a perfect spot. And you also get a reversing camera over here besides your parking sensors. What do you feel about the overall design of the Syros? Here on the inside of the Syros, things look very opulent indeed. Using the term opulent for a car which stands in between the Sonnet and the Seltos is a bit of an oxymoron, to be honest, but that is what it is. Everything that you see around, you touch, feel, move, is pretty high quality, and I'm talking about luxury German high quality. Kia has made sure that no one gets offended by anything that is in their touch point. So, for example, the steering wheel, hexagonal in shape, that's the design theme of this car. It's got really good grips, very nicely stitched on the inside, gives you a very touchy feely sensation, and it's dual tone as well. You've got a 2-spoke steering wheel with your drive mode button and a traction button over here. Nice physical buttons and rotors for your volume control and your cruise control as well. You've got a massive panoramic touchscreen system over here, which now gets wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You also have this small screen over here which hosts your climate control module. What a smart placement for that. You've got a touch screen to control your climate control, and you also have these buttons to control your climate control. Why don't more manufacturers do that? And even this touchscreen infotainment system is absolutely quick, and when you connect your Apple CarPlay, especially when I'm using my iPhone, it connects to the system in a snap. Very, very impressive. Now this instruments display over here is also very crisp. The fonts are large, the data that it shows is pretty good, and everything that you see over here on the touchscreen or the infotainment system is very well put and very logically laid out. Now over here on the central console, you've got your physical buttons for your climate control. You've got your media controls over here with your audio roller, which can switch off or on your media if you're listening to radio or your music on Apple CarPlay. You've got your charging ports over here. This charging port can also connect your phone to fast charging, or it can switch to connecting your iPhone to the multimedia interface. You also get a 180 watt 12 volt socket over here, a wireless charger over here which is very nicely placed and has a nice rubbery padding so that your phone doesn't move too much. This area is so clean and the plastic is so soft. It's like if you've been to an ocean aquarium or something like that, if you've touched a dolphin, it feels like a dolphin, or a seal, or any aquatic animal which has this matte finish, soft skin. What material is this, Kia? It's something I want to know, because this is really high quality. It does not get scratched. See? And it's just brilliant. You have this nice aircraft style gear selector, and you have these 2 cup holders which have a very smart opening and closing for your storage space, or if you want to turn it into cup holders which can accommodate 2 different cups. The window area, the greenhouse area, is actually pretty good. You've got so much light filtering in. You've got this massive panoramic sunroof here as well, and with this grey shade interior, it just brings in so much light. It filters in so much light on the inside. It's just brilliant. This car feels wide, the seats are brilliant, and the overall fit and finish of each and everything is pretty top notch. You also get seat ventilation for the front seats, and these door cards over here are swathed with faux leather. What a brilliant cabin to do long distance trips in. The last 180 kilometers have been effortless. It's just fantastic. Now I'm done talking about the front cabin. Let's talk about the business end of the Syros at the back seat. This is the business end of the Syros, and already, as you can see, I'm very comfortable indeed. This is one of the most spacious rear cabins in any car under 25 lakh rupees. Not even the Thar Rocks is as spacious in terms of its overall design and flexibility. Now, I'm 5 feet 8 inches tall. This driver's seat has been adjusted as per my driving style. I've got tons of knee room. This seat back has been cut out really well to liberate even more legroom. Even if you're 6 feet tall, it'll be very good. And as you can see, I've got good amount of headroom as well. Now, these seats can both recline to, let's say, if you want it upright, and if you want more boot space, it can be slid as much as this, giving you a lot of boot space in the back. With this kind of seating arrangement, you can keep at least 6 cabin bags at the back. But if you're traveling light or with just 4 people on board, this is how you would want it to be. You know, cross your legs, enjoy your rear seat. You've got this subtle armrest with 2 cup holders, this nice big panoramic sunroof filtering in the light on the inside. You also get privacy curtains at the back, which keeps you away from prying eyes, perhaps if you're beautiful. And the most significant feature for rear seat passengers: seat ventilation. Who would have thought? Although it does not cool your back, it only cools your bumps. But it works really well, because during the summer months when the seat base gets really hot, this will cool it down significantly, giving you a much more comfortable experience overall. Now here at the back, you've got your 2 AC vents, 2 Type-C chargers with a place to keep your mobile phone. You also have your air purifier integrated over here with a better digital display. You also have this pocket to keep your mobile phones, jewelry, cards, wallet perhaps, and isofix seat points for anchoring your child seat as well. This rear seat is a place where I can spend hours without complaining, and the underthigh support is really good. The rear cushioning for your lower back is very good, so it will be very good for old parents as well. A win-win situation for Kia indeed in the Syros' backseat.
Now let's hit the road and tell you more about how the Syros feels to drive in the city.
Now the Syros is a seriously comfortable car to drive, as the suspension tuning is done more on the softer side than on the stiffer side as to how it is on the Sonnet and a bit on the Seltos as well. This is not a corner carver's delight. This would not allure you while you're doing high speed turns on the ghat section, nor will it give you that punch while you are doing triple digit speeds above 130 kilometers an hour, which again is also the illegal speed limit anywhere in the country. But if you're doing anywhere under 130 kilometers an hour, this would be a very comfortable car to drive. The sound insulation is amazing. The spring rates are good, so whenever you get into a smaller porthole or even going through a larger porthole at a nominal speed, you don't hear the crashing of the dampers. And it's quite a brilliant thing. Like, I would grade this car as the Kia Carens, but with 1 row less and better cabin. That's how you should visualize the Syros. Although this is a sub 4 meter car, it is quite wide. It's upwards of 1800 mm in overall width, which gives it quite a lot of space on the inside, and you feel it more while you're driving. It doesn't feel like a car which could compete against the likes of the Tata Curve or things in the similar segment, but it's far better. Like, each and everything which is placed, be it the touchscreen, the air conditioning buttons, your gear selector, armrest, all the buttons on the door card, They're placed very logically and very scientifically, and that is what makes this car a stellar product when it comes to daily driving ability. Now, a thing which I'm a huge fan of in this car is the steering wheel. Now, Kia has now turned to put their branding on a slightly right hand side from the center. That's a bit offset, but it sort of works really well. I'm not able to recall which brand had a similar sort of placement, but it just feels very quirky, very outlandish. But after a few days of driving this car, you might feel in place. It just looks really, really nice. In addition to that, you've got this square shaped steering wheel which has all the buttons which are physical. These are not touch sensitive haptic touch buttons, and it just works significantly well when you're driving it on a daily basis. You have your rollers to change the menu or change the volume. You also have your drive mode and traction mode buttons placed on the steering wheel as well, which makes it very convenient to change your drive mode from eco to sport or sport to eco, however you may like it, while you're doing your trips within the city or even on the highway. Let's say you're on the highway, you're on eco mode, you're cruising around, and you want a sudden surge of power to overtake a long lorry or a truck. You push this drive mode button on the steering wheel itself. You don't have to put your eyes and find the drive mode button on the central console, and you just get a good surge of power and torque immediately. That's quite a brilliant thing. The graphics on the screen are very crisp. The instrument cluster has all the details given out in large fonts and in a very crisp manner, which I highly appreciate Kia of designing, and it just works perfectly. There is just nothing to complain about in this cabin. Even this door card has soft touch leatherette on this side where my arms might rub it. Such a brilliant thing. And although this grey interior might not feel very good to a lot of people, but it is such a brilliant thing. It works so good. It just liberates in so much of light into the cabin, just added on by this massive panoramic sunroof. There is just so much visual space on the inside, and these large windows, huge greenhouse area. It's a very spacious car, both visually and in practicality. What a brilliant cabin to drive within the city. And yes, when you drive this car within the city limits, you would enjoy it. The noise insulation, the fit and finish of everything, the ergonomics, the little things around this car, the details of everything. It just makes you feel that you've bought a special car. And that is what the Syros is. It's a special car. I just can't find an offense for this car on the inside. Perhaps the outside rear view mirrors are a little too narrow, but I'm just being nitpicky. Being really nitpicky right now.
The Syros is an effortless car to drive within the city. It eats up kilometers like no other sub-4 meter car in this segment. The steering is light, the gearbox is smooth, and it's very efficient as well. Now, how does it feel on the highway? Let's find out.
Out on the highway, the Syros feels pretty comfortable sitting at about 110, 120 kilometers an hour, which is the upper threshold of the speed limit on Indian Expressway. Currently, we are on the Delhi-Mumbai or Mumbai to Delhi Expressway, doing 115 kilometers per hour, and it's a pretty comfortable ride. The sound insulation is good enough, although because of the boxy shape, there is a good amount of wind noise that gets filtered into the cabin, and this happens after 100 kilometers an hour's top speed. But otherwise, it feels pretty nice. It feels planted enough. The suspension is slightly soggy. If you have too many undulations on the road and you're doing triple digit speeds, this car would bounce about, but nothing that would scare you. It is a very controlled bounce, and because of a wider surface patch, all thanks to the 215 tires, this is very confident doing those speeds. If you have all the passengers in the car with their bags, with that sort of load, the ride and handling at straight lines over triple digit speeds would become an even easier experience. But there's nothing to complain. I'm enjoying my music on the Harman Kardon sound system, which has 8 speakers. The air conditioning system is keeping us pretty cool on the inside, although it's about 25 degrees outside and the sun is blaringly hot. Slightly pleasant as well for the month of January. But it's a nice, comfortable cruise, and that is the intention of the Syros. It's a nice cruiser. It's not something that would allure the driving enthusiast at much. It's a nice, comfortable, long-distance cruiser for the family, which is also a very no-nonsense car. Brilliant in terms of comfort, not so brilliant in terms of dynamics, but that's the kind of sacrifice I'm ready to take if I'm traveling with my family.
Now the Syros gets the same power plant as the Sonnet. This one that we're driving gets the 1-liter turbocharged petrol motor that produces 120 bhp of max power and 172 Newton meters of max torque, made it to a 7-speed DCT gearbox. Now the wider tires and the wider stance of the Syros makes it look like a very complete car on the highway, especially when it's doing triple digit speeds. It looks like a properly built, well-engineered car.
Now the boot situation in the Syros is even more impressive. It's as good as what you get in large size SUVs if you're brave enough. Now these rear seats have been reclined and slided back fully to give the maximum space for the rear passengers. Now this is a full size bag, and we've got one office bag over here. This is a good enough space to keep about 3 cabin bags and a few other knickknacks. But if you want to be smart enough, I'll slide these second row seats forward to make it more comfortable for the rear passengers, who are about 5 feet 8 inches tall. Unrecline these seats a little bit, and now we have a massive boot. Perhaps I can keep this full-size bag horizontally, and I can carry 4 large-size suitcases to go on a very long road trip. And even more, if you want even more space and still carry your passengers, you can slide these seats even more, recline them even less, go to the other side as well, do the same thing, and now we have a boot space which is as big as what you get in a Scorpio N with 5 seats. That's a massive amount of space. Very impressive indeed. Very impressive indeed.
Now, as all the 16 to 18-year-olds on social media suggest in the comments, the Syros is quite an off-putting car in terms of design, but if you dig deeper, Kia has built a stellar product. The way it has been packaged, the way it has been engineered, makes it one of the best cars under sub 4 meter. The fit and finish, the ergonomics, everything you see, touch and feel is high quality. You loved spending long hours in this car, and it just harks back to what a car should be. A logical tool to go from point A to point B in the most comfortable way, and with a bit of fun that you can have on the way as well. I have started liking this car quite a bit.
So what's my final verdict about the Kia Syros? Call it a micro van or a CSUV or whatever you may think. I call it a crossover because of how it has been designed, where it makes a lot of sense for the Indian consumer. Kia has finally cracked the code of a good family 5-seater car under 4 meters length. It's got the power, it has the efficiency, and the way it has been packaged can shame some German luxury cars. And for the price that it's pitching it at, Sonnet and Seltos's market can be, and the price where Kia is pitching it at, the price band between Sonnet and the Seltos, it is capable of taking away both their sales with the kind of packaging Kia is throwing at it. What do you think about the Kia Syros? Is it something that is going to allure a lot of customers? Would it allure a consumer like you? Or is it just a very pretty looking CSUV that not a lot of people would take? I think otherwise. I think this is going to be a very popular car, just like other cars in the Kia's portfolio for the years to come. Thank you for watching The Race Monkey. I hope you liked our video. Do wear your seatbelts all the times, and especially when you're out on the highways like we are right now. Cheers.